talk about a midpoint of anything, maybe the word midpoint here can be the middle of anything you can think of, anything, the middle of anything that you can think of, right? So here let's have a brief understanding of the midpoint here. That says that let's imagine there's a currency, let's a two dollars here. So let's assume this is a $2, and then we have another uh, 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 currency, a lot of sort, let's say an euro, right? An euro here is okay, and then we want to find the midpoint of these two guys. Have you seen that it can be possible? The reason why it can be possible is that this is in dollars, this is what in euro. But assuming you have another currency that is $4 here, right? You have another $4 here. Is that okay? And then we want to find the midpoint of these two guys. So what it means is that the midpoint of these two guys is the middle, right? Middle. How do you get that? So that's, you have to combine these two guys because they are all in the same currency, and that is $2 plus $4. That will give you $6. So you divide that by 2, that should be $3 here. Is that okay? So this is how simple you can find the middle of this currency. The reason is that the two of them are in the same currency. But here, assume you also have another currency here. This is $6. Let's say you have another for this is €6, sorry for that, and then you have another €4. So the two of them can be what, €10. Is that okay? By combining the two, you want to find the middle. Assuming you are just dividing that to two people, so the middle of these two will be what? That should be 10 divided by 2, that should be 5, right? So €5. Is that okay? So how can we relate this thing to the midpoint of what? A line segment. A line segment is just a straight line, right? So as I said earlier, you cannot find the midpoint of these $2 here as well as the $6. The reason is that there's a difference in the currency, right? Now let's assume this X here, this dollar here is what, X, right? And then this euro here is also Y, right? The reason for the variable is that the currency, you have so many currencies in the world. If you want to find the midpoint of these two guys, X and Y, we cannot do that because they are from different currencies, right? So if they come from the same currency, then we can find the difference of the two. So the definitions of the midpoint here is that the middle of any point. So that is what, let's say X for the dollars and then Y for the euro, right? So now we are having two different things here. So two different here. So as we call this one X2 and then X1, or maybe this one can be what, your X1, meaning the first dollar, and then this can be what, your X2, that is the second dollar. So the midpoint of the two, that should be X2 plus X1, or S1 plus S2 divided by 2. Is that okay? Meaning that we are combining the first dollar and the second dollar. Of course, X and S, meaning that they are all in the same dollars over here. Then the same applies to the what, the Y here. So Y, that should be Y2 plus Y1 divided by 2, right? So these two Y's are in euros. Okay, so if you are dividing these two, so this is just the simple definition of what a midpoint, right? So a midpoint of what, a line segment. So you are having a line segment, or what a line segment means here is okay, let me take off this part. So what a line segment means is that this is just a straight line. We are having a point here that's 0,1, 0, and then we have another point here that should be 2,3. Is that okay? Now this look at the arrangement. Always the first number is your X and then followed by Y, right? The first number is your X followed by, so the same thing here, right? S comma Y. So you can name this one X1, then Y1, then S2, and then Y2, right? Don't let the variable confuse, just understand what is happening. So this is just the first dollar, and then the first euro here, and then the second dollar here, and the second euro. Is that okay? So if you want to find the midpoint of these two lines, you just need to add this dollar and the dollar is dollar comma what, euro, right? $1 here and the 1 comma what, euro. Is that okay? So this is how simple you find the midpoint of any number being given. So you can name this also as M. So M here stands for what? The midpoint of what? A line segment. So this is how simple you have to understand how to calculate the midpoint of what? Any value. So let's have a look at the question and see how you can apply the definitions of what a midpoint is. From the question, you are given that the midpoint of M and n is what 3 comma what -4. So the midpoint of what m, which is what 4 comma -1, and what n x comma y is what 4 comma -3. So it means that the midpoint of these two guys here, remember what I said earlier on, that the arrangement matters here. So this is what the first dollar here, so this is what the second, the first euro here. So first dollar comma what the first euro, and then second dollar comma what the second euro. Now they say they are midpoint. Now you are giving the midpoint to be 3 comma 4. It means that the midpoint of these two guys are what 3 comma 4, and then you have been asked to find the values of this guy x and y. So what do you know? You always have to know something. What you know here is that we know that the midpoint of two things is being given by this guy here, this method here. This is how the midpoint I already explained here. So how can you use this thing to find the missing number? So all that matters here is that you just know the definitions of what the midpoint. That says that the first dollar, right? So the first dollar, that is the 4 here, plus the second dollar, right? The second dollar, which is x. So that's why I got my 4 plus x here, and then divide that by 2. Okay, then comma what? The first euro here, plus the second what euro. So that is -1 about plus what y, divide that by 2, and then we are told that the midpoint of the two is, meaning that is equal to what? 3 comma -4. Okay, now what do you do? What do you know? You know that this answer here is also in the form of what the dollar comma what the euro, that is x comma what y, right? So you know that in this type of problem we don't work alone, you have to work in pairs, right? That is the currency or conversion from dollar to what, to the euro. So the first guy here goes for what, the x, and the second guy goes for what, the y, that is the dollar, and the comma what, the euro here. So you have to compare it to, right? You have to compare. So this guy here gives me what the dollar value here. So what is the dollar value? That's after calculation or being given from the question, that is what 3. So it means that this guy here is equal to 3, right? So if you compare this guy here, this guy, that is what 4 plus s divided by 2 should be equal to what 3. When you do your calculation, these two will multiply the 6 here. So that's how I got what 4 plus s is equal to 6, and then that calculation x will give you what 2, right? The same we have to calculate for the second part, that is what the euro here in our scenario, that is what -1 plus y should be equal, divided by 2 should be equal to what -4 here, right? So the same we have to do the calculation here. So when you do the calculation in accordance, you can see that this -1 plus y divided by 2 will be equal to -4, and it means that so it is the same way you need to calculate the values of y. So after calculating the value of y, you can get that you have your y to be equal to -8 plus 1. That should give you -7. So the value of n for this n value will give you 2 comma what negative. If you follow the color of the marker here, you can see that the black one goes forward, the dollar here, that is the x, and the red goes forward, the -7. You can always go back and go and check the procedure. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, you may consider subscribing to our YouTube channel for more content like this. So let's have a look at this type of question again, see how we can still apply this tool in solving this problem here. From the question, we are told that the midpoint of j and k is what? Is m, right? So meaning that m is the midpoint of what? J and k. What do you know about the midpoint? We know that the midpoint of two different points here are given by this type of what definition here, right? I've already explained this thing here. So now meaning that this m here is what? The midpoint of what? These two guys. So we are giving the j to be what? -5 comma 4, as well as the m, which is the midpoint to be what? -2 comma 1. Here they say you should find the value of the k, right? Where exactly k is supposed to be. So we know the definitions of the midpoint, and then we don't know the k, we are not giving the k. So in mathematics, if you are not giving anything, you just need to replace that by some variables, and we know how exactly the k looks like. K doesn't work alone by saying just a single number. They work in pair, that is the dollar as well as the euro here. So that's how I got my x comma y to be what? The value of k. So I use a sentence by saying that replace k by what? x comma y. So I know exactly that this is how the k will look like. What do I know about m? I know that my m here is what? The summation of the $2 here divided by 2 comma what, as well as the euros, and then divide by 2, right? But we are given the m, so let's just replace the m. From the question, we are given the m to be what? Minus 2 comma 1, right? Minus 2 comma 1 here, and then you just need to equate the minus 2 comma 1 to that definition. So by the way, the same procedure I used to solve the first process, that was the same way you need to do this type of question. So if you solve everything very nicely, you can have your x to be what, positive 1 here, right? And then you have your y to be what, minus 2. So the point here will give me what, 1 comma what, minus 2. So this is how simple and very easy